This is the incredible story of a book that predicted the sinking of the Titanic 14 years before it happened. Morgan Robertson wrote The Wreck of the Titan. The story is exactly the same as the sinking of the Titanic, but he wrote it 14 years before the Titanic sank. In 1908, Morgan Robertson published a book called The Wreck of the Titan. The story is about a giant ship called the Titan that sinks in the North Atlantic after hitting an iceberg. The ship is almost 900 feet long, which is exactly the same length as the Titanic. And just like the Titanic, the Titan hits an iceberg, causing the ship to sink. Many people die as a result. But here's where it gets really creepy. The Titan in the book is described as being unsinkable, just like the Titanic was considered to be unsinkable. And in the book, the Titan sinks in April, just like the Titanic. But the most unbelievable part is that Robertson wrote this story 14 years before the Titanic sank. There are some other similarities, too. Both ships had a lifeboat service, which was a precursor to the modern-day lifeboat service. Both ships were white with a black hull, and both ships had a band that played music as the ship went down. Now, there are obviously some differences between the two stories. In the book, the captain's wife and children are on board, whereas on the Titanic, only the captain's wife and one of his daughters were on board. Also in the book, the captain's daughter survives, but in real life, both of the captain's daughters died. So why did Robertson write a story about a fictional ship that sank in April 1911, 14 years before the Titanic sank? Well, he didn't. You see, in 1909, Morgan Robertson published a story about a man who predicted the sinking of the Titanic. The man in the story was based on an actual person, Morgan Robertson's father. You see, Morgan Robertson's father, William, was a lifeboat captain. One day while he was out at sea, he saw a lifeboat. And when he got back to shore, he told everyone that he had seen the lifeboat, which is why they called him the man who saw the lifeboat. Now, this all sounds very strange, but it gets stranger. You see, William Robertson had a friend called Henry Harvey. And one day, Henry Harvey told William that he had a vision of a large ship sinking in the North Atlantic. He said that the ship would sink in the month of April, and that many people would die. When William heard this, he told Henry that he had seen the lifeboat, and so they decided to write a story about it. They wrote a story about a ship that sank in the month of April, and they called it The Wreck of the Titan. They published the story in 1909, and then again in 1911, 2 years later. Now, when the Titanic sank, people said that it was a coincidence that the story had been written 14 years earlier, but I don't believe in coincidences. Do you?